Good afternoon and welcome to NCAA.com for the 2022 NCAA Division III Softball Selection Show. I'm your host, Will Haskett. The pathway to a national championship begins today. We're going to unveil the 62 teams still alive in pursuit of a national championship. And with the tournament restored to its normal allotment of teams here in 2022, it's still a difficult field to make. 43 teams have earned automatic qualifiers, so only 19 at-large berths are available. We have 16 regionals to unveil to you today, all but one having 4 teams in each of them. The winners of those double elimination mini tournaments advanced to super regionals, with the final 8 teams surviving those best of 3 series to get to Salem, Virginia for the championship from May 26th to the 31st. And with the regionals getting started this coming Thursday and Friday, let's move this show right along and get right into the brackets. Our first regional is hosted by the team with the best record in the nation. That belongs to Christopher Newport, the most dangerous offense in the country, back in the tournament after a coast-to-coast conference championship. The captains enter the weekend leading the nation in home runs and total runs scored. Also, by the way, a 1.16 team ERA is also best in the nation. When you score more runs than any other team and give up the least, it's not surprising that this is the best record in the country this season. They begin with Wilson, the Colonial States Athletic Association winners, returning to the tournament for a second time in program history. Messiah traveling to New Jersey for this regional. The MAC Commonwealth champions led the conference in pitching this year, a team ERA of 1.37 entering the weekend, which was 6th best in the nation. That staff will duel Hunter in the opener. Congratulations to the Cognac champions getting back to the tournament for the first time since 2008. Staying on the East Coast for another regional host, it's Amherst, a 6th trip to the NCAA tournament for the NESCAC champions, who feature Megan Takeda at the top of the lineup. She led the conference in runs scored on the average this season, and she will lead off in battle Husson in the first game of the NCAA postseason for both teams. The North Atlantic champions haven't missed the field since 2017. They led their conference in team ERA this season below a 1.60 clip. This region just got a lot tougher with the defending champions from Virginia Wesleyan making the trip. It's not the same team and record as we saw for the 3-time champions, all in the last 4 playings of this tournament, but there is still plenty of championship experience. Ariana Roll and Julia Sinnett were all tournament a season ago, and both are back. Roll led the ODAC in steals and often scored off of hits from Sinnett, who topped the conference in RBIs. Replacing Hannah Hull in the circle has been a tall task this year, but Emily Seal was second in Conference USA. Second in conference in ERA, I should say, for Virginia Wesleyan as they try and go back-to-back with the championship this year. The champs open with Rochester, which won the Liberty League championship at home for the 2nd year in a row. This is Rochester's 10th Liberty League championship and 9th NCAA Division III playoff appearance overall. Next 4 teams starts with Rowan entering the tournament with another impressive record, 28 tournament trips, ties them for 3rd most of any Division III program in the country. The NJAC champions come in fresh off another conference crown, which is the same case for Cabrini, the 2 seed sweeping top-seeded Marymount 3-0 and 5-1 to win its first Atlantic East Conference title. Junior Avery Burns tossed her 4th no-hitter of the season in Game 1 with 13 strikeouts, while sophomore Ariana Miranda went 4 for 4 with 3 runs, and senior Emily Wargo went 3 for 3 in Game number 2. This is Cabrini's 6th conference championship and first since all the way back in 2004. That appetizing matchup will be played on the home fields of Tufts. A three-peat back in 2013 to 2015 still remains one of the great runs of any team in any sport in the NCAA. It was completed with a perfect season back in 2015. This year's squad posted the best ERA in the NESCAC thanks to Sophia DeCoco, who was top 3 in the nation with her .61 ERA this season. She likely takes the circle against Muhlenberg, the Centennial Conference champions returning for the first time since 2011. Our next host of 4 teams belongs to Arcadia. The Knights fell in the championship game of the MAC Freedom Tournament, but owned the conference's best offense, hitting nearly .350 as a team and scoring more runs than any other school in the conference. And they will test that offense against Leslie, which proved itself worthy of a 7th tournament berth after a run to the NECC title. Another champion celebration this past weekend for WPI. Alicia Salvalzo hit a walk-off single, scoring Alex Sheehan to win the 2022 NEWMAC Championship 4-3 over MIT. The Engineers' Katie Martin was named tournament's most outstanding player, capturing the first conference title since 2019. Martin was the winning pitcher in all 3 of the Engineers' victories in the tournament, pitching all 28 innings, a sub-1 ERA at .75. She struck out 11. She also earned the honor in 2019 when she secured 3 wins on the final day of the championship. And she will face Johnson & Wales of Providence, which went a perfect 4-0 en route to a GNAC title yesterday afternoon. Our next four teams, starting with Eastern Connecticut State, the Little East Conference champions. They'll square off against Waynesburg in the opener. Congrats on a first tournament berth via the President's Athletic Conference crown. Sydney Wilson, the star of the pitching staff, leading the conference in shutouts and complete games. Kean will play host to this four-team regional. The NJAC tournament got wiped out midway through, killing a little momentum for the Cougars, who had won 6 straight prior to a loss in their last time out. One of those wins came back against Rowan on April the 23rd. And the Empire 8 champs from Alfred will be ready to give Kean a postseason test on their home field. 3 regionals before we're to the halfway point. Randolph-Macon, our next host this coming weekend. The Yellow Jackets had 4 all-conference selections in the ODAC this year, including pitcher and newcomer of the year Gracie Ellis. She has a no-hitter and a perfect game this season and ranks in the top 10 in several pitching categories nationwide. Her presence has really changed the game for this team this year, and she likely will get the ball against Farmingdale State, 9th tournament trip for the Skyline champs. Susquehanna also played its way into another tournament trip, besting the entire field to win the AQ from the Landmark Conference, and they will face a team that needed some committee help to get in. But we say hello to MIT, the top hitting and pitching team in the NEWMAC, lost in that conference tournament but gets its chance to keep playing this season with an at-large berth. Moving on, a well-deserving hosting responsibility for St. Benedict. The Bennies came close to making its first MIAC championship game in 4 years, coming up just a little bit short, but that doesn't mean this team isn't capable of making a big run in the biggest tournament of the year. Gabby Spencer gets on base nearly 60% of the time, which was the best mark in the conference this season, and that speedster will look to set the table for the Bennies offense for a deep postseason run. They face another at-large selection as Nebraska Wesleyan can start celebrating. The Prairie Wolves made a run to the American Rivers Championship game as the 6th seed, and that run adds to a resume now worthy of a spot in the field. Congratulations and welcome to the tournament. That loss, by the way, came to Wartburg, which also gets slotted in here. The AQ coming thanks to a hot start from the Knights, who scored twice in the first inning and then survived several rallies to secure the win, and no stress today in hearing its name called. And the same feeling goes for Illinois Wesleyan. They captured the CCIW crown to return for a 19th time after missing out on the tournament a season ago. All right, final 4 teams on this half of the bracket, hosted by Millikin, needing an at-large berth to get in the field after sitting atop the regional rankings much of the season. They were shut out twice in the same day of the CCIW tournament, but this offense is now motivated to find the runs in the regional, averaging over 6 per game this season. That was a conference best, while also posting the lowest team ERA of any team in the CCIW. Addison Sargent, top pitcher in the conference, a 1.16 ERA entering this past weekend. Ohio Northern will visit for the opener in a season of start-stops, rain and cold. No team better nicknamed than the Polar Bears, who won the Ohio Athletic Conference and the automatic qualifier that came with it. Alma brings a top offense from the MIAA into this NCAA postseason thanks to an at-large berth. Scoring 7 runs per game is impressive, and that will present a challenge for Illinois College. The Midwest Conference champions made their debut a season ago and return for a sophomore experience. All right, we are halfway through and done with the left side of the bracket. Still plenty of regions to unveil, and teams still waiting on the edge of their seat. We'll return to this Division III softball championship selection show in just a second.
There's an energy swelling out beyond the limits of your expectations. A universe where fandom reigns supreme. Once you're in it, it changes you. Instead of one of one, you're one of many. A blissful sea of chaos. Go beyond your limits and enter the NCAA universe. Get your seats today at ncaa.com/tickets.
Welcome back to the Division III softball selection show. We've unveiled 32 of the 62 teams, leaving 8 more regionals to unwrap for this coming weekend. So let's dive right back into the bracket. And we will start with our next host, and that belongs to Salisbury. 24th trip to the tournament for a program that has 6 finishes of runner-up or 3rd place, but they still want that elusive national title. The coast-to-coast tournament came down to an anticipated showdown with Christopher Newport, but the Seagulls could not solve the captain's offense. But that doesn't mean they don't have the bats. Abby Mace led the conference in slugging this year, and her 1.035 mark is the 2nd best in the country, slugging over 1,000 for the year. She'll take some big swings against Framingham State, which won the MASCAC to return for a 5th time. Endicott will also head to Salisbury as well. The Commonwealth Coast champions add another recent champ to the regional of 4 and can compare championship stories with Penn State Berks, the United East Conference champions, riding the emotion of that win into the tournament for a 7th time. Another strong season leads to a home regional for SUNY Geneseo. The SUNYAC champions have now made 4 straight tournaments. They feature the top pitching staff in the conference. They posted an ERA of 1.53 and had 3 of the top 4 pitchers in the entire conference when it came to ERA. Elizabeth Eberhardt and Lauren Kirch were 1-2 in the conference in pitching this season. That interchangeable depth allows this team to stay in any game throughout the course of this tournament run. And who throws might be guesswork right now for Mount St. Joseph. The Heartland champs make back-to-back tournaments for a second time with almost a 20-year gap between the first 2 and now appearances 3 and 4. An at-large earned for Babson, which fell in the NEWMAC Championship semifinals, but capable of blanking any opponent. The staff has 16 shutouts this year, top 5 in the country. And Stevens will try to break through against that staff, fresh off a MAC Freedom title and a year removed from a first tournament berth. Championship contenders at DePauw getting hosting duties for this group of 4. 13th appearance in the NCAA Championship with a 39-28 record all-time. They finished tied for 3rd in the 2021 championship, 8th straight tournament appearance, all under current head coach Erica Hanrahan. Will this team take the next step in 2022? That's the question right now. They led the NCAC in both ERA and batting average this season. That's a lethal combination that could carry this team all the way to Virginia. Barry tries to slow down the Tigers, the SAA champions, missing the tournament the last 2 playings and return for a 5th trip. Piedmont has been a regular participant, champions of the USA South again this year to return to the field, where Hiram will be the opening test. After coming out of the winner's bracket and falling in Game 1 versus DePauw, the Terriers rallied for 5 runs in the top of the 7th inning to win the if-necessary game and win their first conference tournament championship since 2011. 5 players earned all tournament honors, including Giselle Baena, who was the National Player of the Week earlier this season, as well, in addition to being the tournament MVP this past week. Congratulations to them on a trip to the tournament. Bethel will play host to one of our 16 first weekend regionals. First ever NCAA tournament appearance in program history. They've come fresh off a conference tournament win. The most wins this year in program history. They at one point in time had a 23-game winning streak from March the 12th to April the 24th, included in a single season record of 122 stolen bases. They recorded a single game record of 10 stolen bases on 2 separate occasions, and they've got some good work in the pitcher circle. Kayla Semantic is 31-2 with a program record 295 strikeouts. That leads all Division III pitchers with a sub-1 ERA. And a broadcaster's nightmare in the matchup because Bethel will play Bethany Lutheran in the opener. 9 years after the program's first and only tournament berth, the Upper Midwest champs are back in the field after a championship run. The longest wait of them all ends now. We get to say welcome back to the tournament to Buena Vista, the Beavers, winning their 3rd ever NCAA championship back in 1984. 3rd of the playing of this tournament. They hadn't made the tournament since 1998. That was before any player on the current roster was born. So welcome a new generation of Beavers to the NCAA tournament, getting an at-large selection to snap a 24-year drought in the NCAA tournament. And they will face Wash U, a team that snaps its own little mini drought, returning for the first time since 2017. There's only one 2-team best-of-3 regional, and it will be a great matchup, starting with 2019 champion Texas Lutheran, which just won their 8th straight Southern Collegiate Athletic Conference regular season and postseason championships. They were the national runner-ups a year ago when defending their national champion. Ashlyn Strother, Casey Martin, and Kelly Jordan are all in the top 50 National Player and Pitcher of the Year watch list. Jordan is an NCAA career all-time stolen base leader. She's swiped 232 bags, while Martin was named the SCAC Player of the Year. Strother was named the Pitcher of the Year for a 2nd straight season. Again, a lot of experience on a team that made it all the way to the final game a year ago and looks to do the same. But they won't be able to sneak up on Chapman, the SCIAC champions this year for a first time. The national champions in 1995 give us a rare opening matchup between 2 past national champions. Miranda Murphy was the MVP of the tournament for the Panthers. All right, 12 teams left, with Belhaven making back-to-back trips via the American Southwest, squaring off against Fontbonne in the opener. The Griffins exploding for 4 runs in the bottom of the first to win the SLIAC championship for the first time since 2015. Hannah Miner had the big hit, a 2-run homer that may still be in orbit after that championship win. The region is a Thursday-Saturday format thanks to our host at East Texas Baptist, the 2010 national champion, the best batting average in the American Southwest Conference this season. 4 different players hit over 400, all top 7 in the conference. Courtney White won the team batting title. She was hitting at a .445 clip entering the weekend. And she hits against another national champion team as we get a big matchup in the first round with Linfield. The two-time national champions were runner-up to East Texas Baptist in that 2010 showdown and will now face each other to open the tournament. No team had more hits this season than this one. Linfield captured its fourth straight Northwest Conference Tournament championship. The Wildcats in their 17th NCAA playoff appearance. Junior pitching ace Taya Kelly set a Linfield single-season record this spring, 237 strikeouts. She was the pitcher of the year, 22-3 record into the postseason. Senior outfielder Bailey Paul also leading them offensively with a .427 batting average and 27 stolen bases this year. Two regions to go, with Concordia, Wisconsin headlining our next region, boasting an impressive record and winning the NACC automatic berth to return to the tournament for the first time since 2009 to match their skills with Roanoke. Congrats to the Maroons on earning an at-large bid to the tournament and playing in it for the first time since 2013. While a loss to Virginia Wesleyan ended their ODAC tournament run, they did get one win off the conference queens, solidifying a spot perhaps in this field. TCNJ adds history to this regional, another at-large berth for the most storied program in the sport. 6 national championships, but the last one coming back in 1996. And that certainly won't matter for Case Western Reserve, which gets the benefit of staying home for this regional as host. The Spartans have won 7 in a row and 14 of their last 15 in making just the 3rd appearance in school history. All right, one region to go and a long wait for Trine to learn that it will play host. The Thunder using a dominant final day to capture the MIAA championship and earn the berth that came with it. Trine won both contests by 5 runs, outscoring their opponents 11-1 to get it done. Sophomore Adrian Rosie was named the 2022 MIAA Pitcher of the Year. She posted another impressive start in the first of those 2 final games in the tournament, going 7 shutout innings, allowing just 4 hits while striking out 13 batters. And they will welcome the WIAC champions from Wisconsin, Eau Claire, in town for the opening battle. The 2008 national champions back after missing the field a season ago. All right, if you're doing the math, you know that there is one at-large berth and slot remaining. So stop biting your nails. North Central of Illinois, back after not making the tournament since 2015. Gianna Corbin will be asked to carry a large load in this tournament. She led the CCIW in strikeouts and whip this season and will be a key member of any tournament run. And she will likely take the ball against the last team to announce 9th appearance for Penn State Barron. The Allegheny Mountain champions round out the field and will meet the Cardinals in Game 1. All right, there you have it, all 62 teams whose seasons continue in search of a national championship. Games start later this week at the 16 regional sites with double elimination competition to get us down to the winners who will battle the following weekend in super regionals. The final 8 will gather in Salem, Virginia, starting on May the 26th, the champion crowned on the final day of the month on May the 31st. Make sure you follow all the tournament action through that championship series right here on NCAA.com. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Will Haskett. Congratulations and best of luck to all of the student athletes competing in this year's championship.
There's an energy swelling out beyond the limits of your expectations. A universe where fandom reigns supreme. Once you're in it, it changes you. Instead of one of one, you're one of many. A blissful sea of chaos. Go beyond your limits and enter the NCAA universe. Get your seats today at ncaa.com/tickets.